change the time of the live stream. This might just be a one-off. I'm just waiting to see if I can get on to the live stream on my other account, and then we can start with questions and other exciting things. That's really strange. I can't get onto the live stream on my own account. Oh, there we go. There we are. Right. So we shall sort this one out. Pop out the chat. There we go. Right. There we are. I'm actually ready now to take questions. I think we will go back to the Saturday evening slot for the next one, but I know there are some people who haven't been able to make any of the live streams so far when we've been having them at the usual time, and so this is why we're trying this out. It might just be a one-off occasion. Good afternoon, Mr. G. I see you're having a fine lunch. I shall not be making this too long. I'll probably be going in about 45 minutes because I do need to make the lunch with my lady wife to get when she comes back from work, where she's been since this morning. I did put a can of cannabis lager in the thumbnail. I'm not actually going to be drinking it today because it's a little bit too early for me. J2O today. Very good, David. Very good, Mr. H. Very good, sir. I think Mr. Coleman is probably going to be joining us quite soon. Wine for you today, is it? It's just a bit too early for me. I don't tend to drink in the afternoon. Mr. Retro Chicken is in the oven. Excellent. That's very good. I should be putting some lunch in for my lady wife about 1:45 or so. So I have recorded the video that's coming out tomorrow. The Very Vague vlog has been recorded. I think it's number 23. Can you believe you've done 23 of them? Good afternoon, Jonathan. How are you? Yes, 23 Very Vague vlogs. Tomorrow's one has been recorded. It will also be the March channel update. And yes, it's very pleasing that we're in a situation that I think we're able to go out and film again from the 8th, because the conditions of that are very similar to the second lockdown that we had in mainly November last year. And I filmed a number of no budget reviews and sensible second-hand reviews at the time, and that really wasn't too much of a problem. There was a very safe way I was able to do those, and you know, I've got so many offers of people giving me cars to film that we can start getting on with things. Tweed Jacket reviews will take a little bit longer. Part of that is due to the fact that the dealerships that I normally get cars from, they aren't open until 12th of April on the whole for things like, you know, promotional activities, and also that the planning of Tweed Jacket reviews takes an awfully lot longer than doing the sensible second-hand reviews and no budget reviews. It just takes a lot longer. Although I have had people have already sort of put me in some slots, which I just need to confirm for week beginning 8th of March, which will be fun. And then probably the week beginning 8th of March will be the last Very Vague vlog for the time being. And we might bring him back. I mean, I'm hoping we never have to ever have any lockdowns ever again. Really not fun. But we might bring them back as like a sort of I don't know, something for patrons or channel members, something if we ever get far in the life of this channel. Mr. G is very correct. The new registration 21 plates should be out tomorrow. Although, because most dealerships are actually closed for anything other than click and collect and essential servicing work, you probably won't see too many 21 plate cars on the road. So we will be covering the top 10 best-selling cars for February 2021, hopefully next week. Mr. Coleman, yes, Mr. Coleman is here. He's just making his lunch as well. a nice bacon sandwich. That sounds very appetizing, sir. Mr. H, yes, I hope so. There are a couple of cars for me to film up there. There's the new MG ZS 1 litre automatic that I was going to film in January, but you know what happened with that. And there's also something else that's quite tasty that's up there too. So we might be doing that. There is also another episode of True Jacket Reviews that has been on the cards since last month as well, which we'll be doing. I might be employing the services of Mr. Bill to do that one actually. But yes, we've got lots of plans coming up. We've got loads of cars all over the place to start filming. The more local ones will probably come first, and then we'll do the sort of ones that are a bit further away, because the government advice is kind of still sort of saying, even after the lockdown lifts a bit on the 8th and lifts a bit on the 29th, I think it is, the second bit of it lifts, that you're not allowed to go too far. So we'll just be gradually easing that up, and I'm hoping to get sort of at least 2 reviews out a week for the sort of first period of it lifting, and then after that we might try to go to 3, because I just want to get as many done as possible and all the months we've kind of missed. Yes, it should be fun. Mr. Rich, is the Maestro van on the road yet? Oh, I don't know. I had to ask John Newey about that. They're currently rebuilding the showroom actually at Summit Garage in Dudley, so I don't know whether they've actually got around to doing that or not. I think they've got quite limited facilities in one respect. The place has hardly changed in terms of its size since I think they started selling cars about 1946 or something like that, which would be John Newey's grandfather or something like that. So they're just expanding as much as they can to make it a bit nicer. Yes, hello to terrific spokesman. Good afternoon to you. Right, do we have any questions from anybody else? I'm very pleased that you've actually even got 11 people on the live stream at the moment. That makes me feel happy. It's funny, I've got people commenting on the videos at the moment who aren't actually commenting on the live stream. It's my dream car. I don't really know. It depends what you define as such. If it's something that you kind of tuck away in a garage and don't use, or if it's something that you would use every day or occasionally, I don't know. I really would like a Series 1 Lancia Fulvia. I'd really like one of those. In fact, I know someone who's got one, and I might be able to have a drive of it at some stage. But I wouldn't want to use that all the time. But I really like them. They're such pretty little cars. But yeah, that would really be something to sort of tuck away rather than to use all the time. Yes, Mr. Coleman. Mr. Coleman and Mr. Coleman says thanks for your assistance last night. The thing is that about 2 years ago, we had this situation on YouTube that the American government forced the site into making some changes. So what you see as someone who makes videos, and you know, I'm a very small channel in comparison to most of them out there, is that every video that you actually put up, it has to be designated as, is it made for children or is it not? Now, videos that are not made for children don't have any sort of dodgy content or anything like that. It's not like that. It's just, if your video is specifically aimed at children, the type of adverts that are on it have to be different, and you're not allowed to have comments. When Mr. Coleman uploaded a couple of videos in the last couple of weeks, he accidentally had this problem whereby it would trigger all the videos as if they were supposed to be aimed at children, and that would turn all his comments off, and he didn't quite realise. So after some investigation last night, we managed to sort that out, but it was a bit of a pain. So if you ever hear this phrase "made for kids" or sort of YouTube, then you know what that's about. It's a bit of legislation that the American government brought in, and YouTube being an American site, they had to introduce it, but it has caused some problems. Terrific spokesman. If you could use a dream car all the time, The thing is I've driven a couple of cars on Tweed Jacket reviews that actually I would just say, yeah, I'll have one of those tomorrow. In terms of just being able to use it as an everyday car, and one of them was the Ssanyon Corando C300, the current generation one. The one we had, of course, it was powered by the forbidden fuel, and so it wasn't sort of it wasn't kind of wonderful in that respect. But everything else, the exterior paintwork, the interior finish, it was dark blue, beige leather interior, heated seats, ventilated seats, really comfortable. All the equipment you could possibly ever want in your life. Obviously, I wouldn't. I'd have a 1.5 turbo petrol and not the forbidden fuel engine, and it was the ultimate. So it just had everything. And I thought, you know, if I had a car that I just wanted to use as an everyday car, and I really had an awful lot of money, I'd just have one of these. It's got a 7-year warranty, and I don't know. It's about the right size for what you need, and it's got enough power, I presume, the petrol one. I don't, I just have one of those. I don't need a Range Rover or a Bentley or something like that, because they're just a bit much to look after, Um, but yeah, I do love things like the Granadas and Mr. Coleman's 166, but just in terms of a car to use every day, and presumably you've got other ones that you also like, then I'd probably just have one of those, to be honest. Um, Jonathan Bramble, I love the shambolic shuffles back on the cards. The shambolic shuffles are certainly on the cards, sir. In fact, we are currently looking at the Bromley pageant, which is 13th of June. That I will explain a bit more about in a video that will be uploaded tomorrow. And yeah, that is, I think, supposedly the country's biggest one-door open-air car show. I went there in 2019 and made a couple of videos, which were quite successful at the time, actually. So that's for definite. I've booked in for a show in August as well, which is quite local to where I live. But certainly loads of others I'm sure will be happening as well. Definitely from 21st of June onwards, because that's the date by which they've sort of said that most of the restrictions should be gone by then. So I think it's David H. I've also answered that question as well. We'll be looking to do lots of the shambolic shuffles. We'll be probably partnering some of them with Planet Auto, because they go to a lot of shows, and sometimes I'm allowed to have a press media pass. Sometimes I don't. I mean, when I went to the couple of shows I went to last year, I certainly didn't have a press pass for any of them apart from Motorsport International, which was in January, so before the pandemic happened. The other ones, I just turned up and I filmed them, and that was it. Bromley Pageant, when I filmed it in 2019, I didn't get any permission to do that at all, and they actually found my video on YouTube and said, would you like to come back? We want to use your video on our site to promote it, and would you like a free ticket? And I was like, well yes. So there we are. Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Saxby. Mr. Coleman, Rubbish Mechanic, does know I'm very partial to a Mark II Granada, and yes, I am extremely partial to a Mark II Granada. They are one of the best cars of the 70s and 80s. That's not an exaggeration at all. Depeche Mode, looking dapper. Well, we aim to please, sir, don't we? We aim to please. Mr. G, you can thoroughly recommend Bromley Pageant. Yes, so can I, sir. So can I. It was fantastic. Richard Howard, didn't expect this when you grabbed your iPad. Well, we're just trying out this sort of slot, sir. It's not something we probably will do too much of, but there are a couple of people who, because we always had the live streams at the same time, and we did that for a number of weeks. I think it was something like 10 weeks we did them. Because we did them all at the same time, there were some people who said they could never make the slot that we used. So that's why we've changed, just as a one-off, really, just an experiment. Paulette Rayner, have you seen the 075 Matthewson's auctions? I haven't. I do know Matthewson's auctions, and which is I think it's Bangers and Cash or something that the program's called. I don't know whether I like it or not. I don't know. I don't know if I like it or not. It's a little bit too kind of light for me. everything happens a little bit too kind of fast, and I'm not sure whether the people want them to get the best deals or not. That's just my opinion. Could be wrong, but yes, I'll have a look and see if I can see what's 75, because I am quite partial to those, although they do have their issues. So those cars, so I don't know if I'd actually ever have one unless it was absolutely concourse. I'd probably have one, but yes, there we go. Um, Mr. H, you really need to drive a Metro this year or a Rover 100. Well, yes, I do, but again, it's this issue of not having been offered one, and I don't know where to actually get one apart from asking Mr. Wesley from Twin Cam, which I have done. Um, and he's a bit busy and he's not got back to me. I would prefer personally to drive a Metro GSI or a Rover 114 GSI. That would be my ideal situation. Mr. Western one is in excellent condition, but it is a base model 1.1C with a 4-speed gearbox, and it's just not really the kind of thing that I'm that sort of into. Um, but yes, hopefully I'll be able to get hold of a Metro or a Rover 100 at some point this year. Depeche Mode, what do you think of HelloFresh? Good value or too much hassle? My lady wife does most of the cooking with HelloFresh. I find it very, very difficult to actually do them. I've already done one recipe on HelloFresh successfully, and it was very, very, very hard work. And unless you have a very special offer on HelloFresh, it's quite expensive as well. There's a friend of mine who's a lady who lives on her own, and she finds it really good. She's quite into cooking and things, but as far as I'm concerned, the hassle of it, if my lady wife's not here, and I'm going to do loads of washing up and producing loads of little packets that you're able to throw away afterwards, I'm not massively keen on that. Mr. Coleman, would voters like me to decide at 75? Why don't you get in touch with Matthewson's auctions in Yorkshire, Mr. Coleman, to see if they would like to offload that 75 to you? Richard Howlett, do you think we've been brainwashed into going electric? I don't think we have a choice in the matter really about it, because the government are very, very strict about the fact that they're not going to extend any further this deadline for the end of petrol and forbidden fuel sales. They are not going to budge on it, I think. And Ford have just said recently, and I'll probably do a video about this next week, I think, that they will stop selling all conventionally fueled cars by 2030. Jaguar have said that they will stop selling all conventionally fueled cars by 2025. But obviously that's the Norwegian deadline, but they will be the first country in the world to ban the sales of combustion cars. Yes, it's not really a case of being brainwashed, it's just a question of necessity, and that's just what they've decided to do. Obviously, if you want to buy a second-hand car right up until they're still on sale, then do that. I haven't personally got a plan immediately to rush out and buy an electric car, much as there are some fantastic electric cars on the market, and I've driven a few, and they're really good. That Corsa I drove was a really good car. It was just very overpriced. MG ZSEV, obviously, all about what I think about those, and MG5 EV was really good as well. So there's others as well. But, I gather the Kia e-Niro is pretty good. Yes, it's just one of these things that we're just going to have to cope with. But there'll be so many second-hand combustion engine cars on the market for so many years to come that we don't really have to abandon those for quite a while, particularly if you're a very handy with spanners like Mr. Coleman is. Depeche Mode, lamb shanks for lunch today. Your lady wife is a fantastic cook. Yes, I have no doubt that she is. My lady wife is also very good, but she's currently at work, so she's not preparing lunch. Bura Moretti. Yeah, we have the Galahad here. It's just a prop basically because it's too early for me to drink. Really, I'll have to have that this evening. Right. Any more questions? I'm very pleased to have 23 people. 23 people on the live stream at the moment. Mr. Coleman's next video is going to be about different types of antifreeze and coolant, because he understands them a lot better than I do. And so far we haven't got too bad a leak in the cooling system of the Rover. I just top it up with the OAT which now lives in a nice tiny cupboard that my lady wife has for me, with all my little, bits of, engine oil and things like that. Porter, what's your favourite car I've made? Oh, I don't know. I really don't know. It depends really what you define by a favourite. You mean one to use every day? Do you mean one that's affordable? Do you mean one just put away in a in a garage and just shine it up every few weeks? Yeah, what do you mean by that? It's a very open question, that, Mr. Saxby. It does seem straight on doing the evening, but the advantage of doing it now is the lighting is a lot better than it normally is. And also, I don't feel quite so tired and slightly drunk. Mr. Coleman, yes, I do talk about dual mass and single mass flywheels quite a lot on the channel sometimes, and I've driven cars with both of them, and actually some of the single mass flywheel cars are quite difficult to drive if you're used to the more modern dual mass flywheel cars. But I've driven kind of a number of both now, and it's an interesting distinction. Matt Walker, how long do you plan to keep in Rover? We don't really have any plans to sell it, because of Mr. Coleman's diagnosis of the coolant leak, which was just require an upgraded thermostat housing, a nice metal one. Really, it's just a question of, I think, we need to change bits of the exhaust and maybe the front brakes at some stage, and just keep servicing it and keep using it. We do plan eventually to sort of take it off daily duties, but at the moment, the work that I would need a different car for doing sort of work other than the sanding, which I wouldn't want to use for the type of work that I've been doing sort of bits of. That other car, that third car, hasn't really materialised, and so we're still using the Rover for every week, twice a week at the moment. I'm just topping the coolant up, and when the new thermostat housing arrives in stock at the supplier, Jordan, who looks after the Rover as well as Mr. Coleman, he'll be putting that in for me, and then I think that'll be the end of the cooling issues, and that'll be it really. Needs a good clean at the moment, but we know we're still using it. It appears in all the video, doesn't it? Airport, what favourite car recently thought? Oh, goodness gracious me. I'm just going to say the sort of the same thing as I've said sort of before, but probably a Lancia Fulvia Series 1, or maybe a Triumph Dolomite. But if you don't buy a Sprint, they're actually reasonably affordable cars. And I have owned one in the past, actually. So yeah. Which is how can any car always possibly to be green? Again, this is one of these arguments that I don't know if it's any worth me really going into, because there's so many different complications to it, and the government have made their mind up, and there's nothing we can do about it. That's just the way that it's going to be. So that's something for other people to discuss rather than me. I don't see the point in discussing that, because really coming down on one side or the other is virtually impossible. Mr. H, it's sad that all electric cars will sound the same. I wonder if manufacturers will engineer their own unique sound. Some of them actually have. I mean, your Tesla, you can actually select the sound that you hear inside through the infotainment system and things. You can do that with electric cars, but obviously it's not the same as the proper engine, is it really? Andy G, what do you think of cheap MOT? Just try to sound. I used to get the MOT on the MG3 done for about £20 or something. I remember once kind of with the Seat, we got third MOT and the first MOT, which was a third year service. That was like £170 all in, and the MOT was like £20, and it was so much cheaper than going to the Seat main dealership, which was absolutely pointless going to a Seat main dealership with a car like that. And of course, the warranty was about to expire, but it was just within the warranty, and it would have been all right anyway. So sometimes cheap MOTs do sort of work, and they didn't find anything on either of them when we had them done. So there we go. John Edwards, how do you see the MG5s devalue over the next 3 years? Well, I don't know. I mean, they might become really, really popular, and they probably will just increase MG sales because they're appealing to an entirely different market. The electric estate car market has one car in it, and it's that. And the MG haven't had a car in that segment since 2005 with the MG ZTT. So yeah, I don't really know, to be honest, how it will be affected by that. The car's quite cheap anyway. Um, Depeche Mode, why is it as soon as you wash your car, the birds destroy it when it's dirty or leave it alone? That's a philosophical question of life, sir. I don't know the answer to that. Mr. Franks, good afternoon, sir. Happy Sunday to you as well, sir. Hopefully we'll be seeing Mr. Franks' his work on the channel again soon. Depeche Mode, looking forward to seeing the electric MG3 later this year. Yeah, they haven't confirmed or kind of denied what the thing's going to be called, but it would make sense just to call it an MG3 when they replace the combustion one with electric one later this year. Mr. Saxby, do you think any car manufacturers will be further exploring hydrogen cars? I think Toyota and Hyundai are the main proponents at the moment, possibly Honda. Honda did sell the FCX Clarity for a while. I think it was only in America though, and I don't know if they've actually got anything else that you can buy in this country, certainly. But I think Hyundai and Toyota are the only manufacturers currently making cars for us to buy that are hydrogen. And I don't even know where the nearest hydrogen station is to where I'm. I know there's one in Twickenham, which is where the police who operate Mirai's undercover cars, if you can believe that, in London, because I've seen them. They fill up in Twickenham. So yeah, I'd love to have a hydrogen car. I think it's fantastic. Mr. Richard and Furious Driving also loves hydrogen cars, and there's a review of a Mirai on his channel. But for some reason, that car did really badly on his channel. It's like when I did the BMW i3 for Two Jacket Reviews. Both did really badly, and the Toyota Prius as well. So not enough interest at the moment for some reason. Mr. Franks, yes, hello, Mr. Franks. Do we know if Boris is making air ventilated passenger seats mandatory by 2022? I don't think he can do that. I mean, obviously, some cars like the C300 Carrano Ultimate do have ventilated seats, which Mr. Franks very much enjoyed when we were filming that car back in August. But I don't think it's going to be possible to legislate like that. Although there are all sorts of other silly legislative things coming in. I think 2022 is the breathalyzer thing, or compulsory speed limits or something. I don't like compulsory speed limiters. I don't think it's a good idea. Mr. G, do you think petrol prices go up in the budget? I hope not. They're pretty expensive as they are. I hope they don't go up, but we'll have to see, I suppose. Depeche Mode. One car journalist reckons electric cars aren't the future, not as green as the government would lead us to believe. There are arguments for and against, that area of things. A lot of people would say that actually, you shouldn't buy a new electric car. You could just buy a second-hand petrol car. Obviously, we don't talk about forbidden fuel on this channel, so that's not an option for us. But you just buy an existing car and keep it running, and that's more environmentally friendly. I don't know. It's a very complicated argument, and I don't really want to go too much into that. You won't be finding a video of that on my channel because I think it's a bit pointless. People arguing in the comments over that kind of thing, really. Right, so we've been going about half an hour so far. We're going another 15 minutes, I think. Richard, hydrogen makes more sense than electric. I think so, personally. But just the infrastructure's not really there. The infrastructure's not there because there are not enough cars to make it worthwhile, and they're not. And they won't make many cars, or rather reduce the price of the cars because there's no infrastructure, and so not many people buy them. So it's a bit of a catch-22 situation, unfortunately. It's a bit stuck. Mr. Saxby, hydrogen is more exciting. Hydrogen is terribly exciting, and you can have a proper range in there as well. You can stick about 400 miles of range in there. I mean, the hydrogen car is basically an electric car. It sort of is anyway. But I just like the idea of just filling the thing up with fuel like you do now, and just off you go, and you don't worry about it for a long time. Dave Cost, what do you think of the Infiniti Q30? I have never driven an Infiniti Q30. There was a review on our High Peak Autos channel of one recently, and I don't have a lot to say about it. It's a weird sort of combination between a Mercedes, a A-Class and a Nissan. That's necessarily a bad thing, but I don't know what I sort of think about them really. Not much probably, because never really seen too many of them. QX30 is the same, just with a higher ride height. Which type chicken and egg? Yes, with hydrogen. Yes, exactly. Mr. H, have you driven the Mitsubishi Mirage? No, I haven't. I would like to try one of those actually, because I have seen for myself how they look and seen some of the interior stuff. The interior stuff looks far worse than MG3, to be honest. People complain about an MG3's interior, but to be honest, the Mirage looks a lot worse. Documented good view in the Mirai. It's good to see the water being. Yeah, it's the same thing with Furious Driving. He did a review of one of those too at Toyota's headquarters, which is I think in Epsom actually, near where we used to live. Mr. G, there were a fleet of hydrogen buses in Essex, one at a time. I'm not sure what happened to them. Yeah, I don't know what happened to them either. Depeche Mode. I think we're keeping something more important. You mean making lunch for my lady wife, sir? That's what you mean, isn't it? Mr. Coleman showed me a video recently of the LNG engine in Iveco Stralis, a big lorry that is probably at the moment the best alternative to hydrogen for future trucks that aren't powered by this bit of fuel. Yeah, Mr. Coleman's going to see if he can try one of those. That could be a bit exclusive actually around this country. Yes, Depeche Mode, you're enjoying yourself, aren't you, this afternoon? I can see that you are. It's just Saxby. The other car, the Hyundai Nexo, yeah, it's the Hyundai Nexo. I quite like the look of that car. Hyundai at the moment are bringing out some really, really hideous cars. Really hideous cars. The Kona facelift is really hideous, and so as well as the new Tucson. They're really, really ugly. I don't know what's happened. People keep complaining to me that MG don't make nice looking cars. It's like, well, you look at the new Hyundais, even the i20, the new i20. I don't know. They all look really ugly. And the facelift Kona that I filmed on the walk around of the channel. Oh, I think it was like it was a long time ago, December 2019, I think it was. It was pretty bad. I mean, you could really just buy a Sanyong Tivoli and MG ZS. They're far better than one of those. I just don't like the new direction that Hyundai are taking with their styling. It just, dear, it's not good. MGs are sort of a lot nicer looking than those. I could look at my watch because I don't have a clock in front of me, which is really annoying. I have a little timer here, which tells me how long the live stream's been going, but I don't have a clock in front of me, which is really annoying. So I have to keep using my watch. That's the only reason I'm using my watch, so I don't run over and miss making lunch for my lady wife, because she won't be happy if I don't make lunch for her. Mr. Cobbing, yes, liquefied natural gas. It's not something that powers cars at the moment. Really, it's ready for the lorries. Dave, do you think the Ampere would be a good first electric car on a budget? I think a good first electric car on a budget would be something like a Volkswagen e-up, if you can possibly find one. If you can find a Volkswagen e-up, the Ampere is a bit more complicated because it's a plug-in hybrid, and they're just a lot more complicated than a standard electric car. Mr. Saxby, yes, the Kias are honestly quite nice looking cars. The Ceed is a nice looking car. The Rio's fine. A lot of the new models coming out are good. I like the Stinger, apart from the weird sort of rear lights on them. I like those. I don't know what it is. Hyundai and Kia are the same company, and yet they have bizarrely different design directions. Yes, we get on really, don't we, sir? Mr. Adrian, see you driving an LS400 Lexus. Well, it's a bit big for me, unfortunately, though. I do like them. They're a bit big, though. Mr. Coleman loves those things. He's raced plenty of them. Mr. G, too many beers. I don't know. I'm not drinking. The beer is firmly sealed. We're going to be drinking that this evening. Mr. Saxby, the new i10 is the worst Defender. I think the Tucson's pretty bad, and so is the Kona facelift. I don't know if the i10 is quite as bad, but I do see what you mean, Mr. Saxby. Michelle, at the starting of most car stairs, I mean, not all of them. Some of them are quite nice and neat, and are quite pleasing. I mean, if you look at the stuff SsangYong were putting out 10 years ago and what they're putting out now, they for one have massively improved the way that their cars look, and I do like the styling of the particularly. Otherwise, I wouldn't have bought one. But there are some pretty ugly cars. The Nissan Duke Mark One was absolutely revolting. Toyota CHR is horrible. There's just lots and lots of ugly cars now. There are really quite a lot. Some of them are okay though. Depeche Mode only have one beer because he's nice and sober, and we're remaining nice and controlled today. Richard Howlett, yes, we do. I think we discussed the ugly cars. Yes, virtual friends. Depeche Mode. It's a way we are actually on this channel. Virtual friends, and that's the way it will be for a while, unfortunately, due to all these social distancing regulations. Right. Any rest of you have any more questions, or is it time for me to make my lunch run anyway? This is Saxby. I picked up some 9-year-old What Car magazines from my grandmother's house, and all the Protons had a 1-star rating. It wasn't good at the end. The Proton Savvy that I drove on No Budget Reviews, it was all right, but it really wasn't that great. The Gen 2 wasn't great. I did drive one of those, and yeah, it wasn't the best. They're very cheap now, Gen 2s. Trying to think what else they had on sale. Oh yeah, the Satria Neo. My lady wife actually took some driving lessons in the Satria Neo, and if you're over about my height, you can't actually get into them, which is a bit hopeless, really. So yeah, they weren't great towards the end. But the thing about the Gen 2 was, and the Gen 2 Persona, because that was the slim version of Gen 2, was that they had a free LPG conversion on them. That was one of the reasons I drove one. Mr. H, yes, the Scody Citigo IV, it was called, that one. It was it was really weird. The Seat Mii Electric's still on sale, although I don't think it will be for much longer. And so is the Volkswagen E-Up. Those are both on sale. They all came out at the same time, those triplets. But the Skoda Citigo E, for some reason, was withdrawn after a few months, and the petrol one had been withdrawn before that as well. So I don't know what's going on. Depeche Mode. That's very kind of you, sir. I look forward to having a nice cool pint of lager. And Mr. G wants one as well. Well, don't we all? Don't we all? That's been a Rodius. The Rodius is actually they're quite well regarded cars by owners because they're very versatile and they have very powerful engines in them. The styling probably isn't Ken Greenley's finest work, and he's made some other sort of weird looking cars as well, Ken Greenley. But the fundamental engineering is a Mercedes E-Class underneath there, and so they actually do have quite sort of solid engineering, although for some reason I think it's the suspension arm that seems to fail on them quite a lot. Some of the Rodiuses are actually really sought after the banger racer because they're rear-wheel drive and they have Mercedes engines in them, and they're very hard. That's they've sort of had a bit of a rebirth in that respect. But yeah, the people who own this seem to quite like them actually. In the SsangYong Owners Club. To explain, it sounds bought by Mahindra. It puts amazing products. Someone when Tata bought JLR, just sort of products. Jaguar Land Rover do have some nice looking cars now. I don't know if they are ones I'd particularly buy. Simon from Landy Prestige, if you haven't watched the interview with him, will spend an awful long time talking about how good that they are, or how they are cars people want to buy, and they are cars people want to buy. Whether or not I would recommend them myself, I don't really know. But certainly with the SsangYongs, I don't have any hesitation recommending those. In fact, we run one ourselves, and we're not sponsored by them. So, there we go. This is Saxby, the Infiniti SUVs. Yeah, the early ones were very ugly. I'm not surprised they stopped importing those. The Passion Mode bought a detailing kit so I can earn my pint by helping him detail a Pride and Joy. Which Pride and Joy is that? So is that the MG3 or is it something else? Richard Howlett, going to watch this Honda this afternoon. Regular idea, so the weather's very nice. Good afternoon, Mr. Simpson. Yes, yes. I think Mr. Rach, we are going to have to do something special for that 3,000 subscriber special. Yes, it is coming. I hope when we start putting reviews out that actually we will see a bit of a bit of a sort of increase in subscriber numbers when we start doing reviews again. That's going to be what happens. Bryce Mechanic, good afternoon, Alan. Yes. Terrific spokesman. Yeah, the Turismo looks quite good, just as versatile radius. Yeah. Again, people who own Turismos in general, they do have a couple of issues. I think it's normally with the suspension in them because they're the same car underneath as a Radius. They're exactly the same, and in fact, in the rest of the world, they often are just called a Radius, or the Starvik is the Korean market name for those. The Turismo does look a lot better, and they are absolutely huge for the amount of money you get. You can't buy them new anymore. You can buy them second hand. I do know people who actually got one of those, and yeah, they got, I think, a 3-month-old car with a 7-year warranty, top of the range one for £21,000. It's absolutely astonishing. It's the same price as a Fiesta Vignale or something. They were very good value when they were new, or even better now. Flash mode, yes. MG3. This is Simpson, yes. Well, we forgot. We did try to remind you, sir, but never mind. It's very sunny in Cumbria. It's sunny here as well. It's incredibly sunny, actually. So that's why we've got very good lighting for the video today. Mr. Simpson says, sorry to hear the misfortune. The bacon will help with mental health. I don't know if there's a proven link between bacon consumption and mental health, but we can but hope, can't we? If you haven't already watched the latest update on Mr. Cobbins Alpha 90 on the Roach Mechanic channel, then I would recommend you do that. It's actually sunny in Suffolk. Yes, I'm sure it is. Yeah, the Turismo is a huge thing. There's nothing that competes with a Turismo at all. Now they've discontinued virtually all the 7-seater MPVs on the market, and the Turismo really is bigger than most of those. There is nothing that compares with that in terms of what it is. There's just nothing. Really, SsangYong have replaced that with the Rexton, which also you can get the 7-seat option, but it's even so, it's not quite as big. And you don't get the sort of Mercedes engineering as well underneath, which you would do. It's a completely different car in terms of the engineering. But people who own them tend to really like them. Yes, Trick Spokesman says in some market Turismo is available as full rotor load. Yeah, it absolutely is. You can get in Korea an 11-seat Turismo. I don't know if they're still making them. Certainly, you can't buy a new one over here. But you can have, another row of boot, because the boot is so big in the Turismo. It's 700 litres with the third row up. It's something absolutely ridiculous like that. Fashion mode, yes. Lamb is ready. Best regards to all. Enjoy the rest of the afternoon. Best wishes, lady wife. Yes, you were. The passion mode, you were generally good today. There were one or two moments when I was a bit concerned. But you've been generally well behaved today. Mr. Saxby, have you seen Action? Yes, I have seen an Action. That dates in a period when SsangYong were going through an interesting phase in their styling department, shall we say. There's not many people who actually have those. Spokesman, you still get a Mercedes gearbox. It's not actually. I've driven one, and that's not a Mercedes gearbox. That's an Ace Warner unit. The Mercedes gearbox, I think the last one that uses it is the Rexton, and that's only on certain models. It's not a Mercedes gearbox anymore on the Corando. It's an Ace Warner unit now. Ooh, my phone is buzzing, so that's probably time for me to go. Oh yes, yeah. Some of the Rextons have the Ace Warner gearbox that's in the Musso. Some of them have the Mercedes. I can't remember which one it is. I've actually been offered a SsangYong by the SsangYong UK press department. I don't know which one they're going to give me. I'm not sure. We'll have to see. That's still tentative at the moment. It's not 100% confirmed. But yes, I'm hoping we'll get one from the Sanyong press fleet, which will be very nice, and then we can ask sort of technical questions about it. The Pontiac Aztec isn't great, but the Action, I don't know. That could be a debate. Sanyong Action versus Pontiac Aztec. That could be interesting. I won't forget to make a pudding. I bought my lady wife some lady ice cream cones the other day, so I think we're okay with that regard. Right, I think that's enough for now. Next live stream, I don't know when it will be. We will be informing you when it is. Of course, we'll have peculiar old car adverts next week. I gather I've got another tape to do, which I might have in my possession here. Yes, I do. Here we go. There is the tape, which I will have to make a video on at some point next week. Tune in tomorrow for the very vague vlog, which I've already filmed. Thank you very much for everybody for coming on, and we'll see you again soon.